Hello, my name is Jessica. Thank you for joining me for this third video. So in this one, we're going to pay attention to our hands. Our hastas is the Sanskrit word for it, because a lot of times within a typical Surya Namaskar A or Surya Namaskar B, there's a lot of immediate weight that's placed onto the hands. And sometimes for me personally, that is problematic for my wrists, meaning my wrists just aren't ready to be doing any of that yet. So these are some things that I do often before I need to put weight on my hands, and I find that it just helps my wrist feel excited to do whatever I'm about to ask that they do. Cool. So this first exercise, I believe I might have gotten from Trina Altman. She's another yoga teacher that I follow online. She's also got a Pilates background. She's like Pilates and yoga, so really enjoy her teaching. Not sure if that's where I got this, so if not, and I got this from someone else, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure it was from her. Cool. So the first thing you're going to start with is extend your right hand forward, and you're extending out through all of your fingers. And this is about a 10 breath cycle, so you're just going to notice if you can start to breathe, and you're going to keep all other 4 fingers of your hand pretty engaged. First thing you'll do is inhale, pull down on your right pinky finger, and then pull it slightly back towards your arm. And then you'll exhale and gently release. And you'll do the same thing, inhaling, drawing it down and back, exhaling, pulling it back towards yourself, taking another breath in. And then exhale, draw it back to neutral. Same thing, pull the middle finger down and draw it back. As you exhale, lower the finger or draw it back to center. Inhale, pull the index finger down, and exhale, pulling it back. Whoa, that's fun. Back towards your arm. Inhale here. And exhale, draw back to center. And the last one is the thumb. So you'll inhale and pull the thumb out towards the right a little, and then in towards your right arm a little. And keep active through the other 4 fingers. And take a big breath in. And a big breath out. Gently you'll release the hand back to center. And then I like to take some little flamenco twirls in the hands. And then give my hand a little shake. And then we'll move on to the other side. So extend your left hand in front of you. Flex, or rather extend out through those fingers. Big breath in. Draw that left pinky finger down and back. Inhale here. And exhale, draw back to its mates. Continue through the hand. And the tendency here is to start to curl the fingers up because the sensation becomes such that we want to get away from it. But the real work, or the real effect, comes by keeping all of the other fingers active. And you can see that I'm making faces because I have not practiced yet today. So this is me doing that with you. And the last one, the thumb comes out to the left and back slightly. And you're sending the heel of your hand forward, reaching out through the other 4 fingers. And then gently release back. And then take some little flamenco twirls with this hand. And then shake the hand out. Cool. So that's one thing that you can do. Another thing that you can do is just pretty simple. You'll interlace the hands together and draw the heels of the hands together, and maybe even your elbows if you have the mobility in your shoulders, and you try to create what's called figure 8s. And I notice that when I do this, sometimes there are little pops, snap, crackles, and pops, and sometimes there aren't. So you just pay attention what's happening in this moment and let that be more than enough. And after you've gone a number of times one way, you reverse your figure 8. And I notice that for me, especially in this moment, I'm finding that my brain doesn't really wish to do that. Cool. And once you're balanced between those 2 sides, you can just gently come out. Cool. Last thing that I typically will do is I will turn the heels of my hands away from me and try to extend out through the fingers. So all those things we just did with the first activity, and then slowly lower the heels of the hands towards the floor, away from you. And you'll notice that as you go through certain points, you'll find that your wrists, as well as the palms, start to find stuff happening. And you'll just pause, and you'll breathe, and you'll notice what you notice as you slowly sort of knead the hands and find what's working here. And then when you find your end range, you're going to pause. And notice that my end range is pretty extreme, so if you find that that's not happening for you, by all means, no worries. You'll probably come up and out of this, and then take what is a slighter variation of it where you'll be on your knees, and you'll have your hands directly underneath your shoulders. And this just is a little bit easier in the sense that I can control how far I push my pelvis back in order to feel that same stretch. Another option is if you have the mobilities of the shoulders as well as the wrist, you can just bring the hands here and do the same thing. And in this orientation, the heels of my hands are not going to get close to that. So there's that. And then once you're done with that, you'll want to just let the hands rest for a moment, and then perhaps after you've let them be neutral, you'll take the opposite. So seeing how far you can draw the hands in the opposite flexion. So there's flexion and extension, and this is, as I believe, flexion of the wrists. It's so weird because, you know, typically this should be flexion, so I'm going to say that's flexion. All right, cool. So the last thing that we'll do here, those were all stretching exercises that I'll typically do. This one is a strengthening exercise, and this one I definitely got from Trina Ultimate. I changed my world, loved it a lot. It was something that I was inadvertently doing, and I just didn't know that it was something that I could actually be more conscious about and turn into a strengthening exercise. So for this one, I encourage the patting of your knees if you're on a hardwood surface like I am. And then you're going to spread all the way through both hands, both sets of fingers. Now, drawing the navel into the spine, press down into the tops of the fingers. So you lift the heels of your hands up, and then lift just your thumbs, but keep the knuckles of the other four fingers down. Lower the thumbs back down, and then lower the heel of the hand back down. And you'll do about 8 to 10 of these, pressing up to the knuckles, lifting, hovering that thumb, lowering both thumbs down, and then spreading wide through the palm as you lower the heels of the hands back. Now, so this is one that is really more about strengthening the forearms, but if our forearms are not co-participating when we're in certain things like downward facing dog or chaturanga dandasana, our wrists take the brunt of all of this. So this just helps to awaken and enliven the wrists as well as the forearms. We'll just do 3 more because, in all honesty, I wasn't really counting. And I'm guessing that with these last 2, that will bring us up to 8. Now the last thing to pay attention to is that as you're doing this, your elbows stay pretty straight, not so you're locked out, especially when hypermobile people, but not so they bend. Cool. So those are a few things that I will typically do to prepare to do a standard yoga asana class where I'm imagining there could be quite a bit of Surya Namaskar A's or Surya Namaskar B's, or even if I feel like I'm going to be doing a handstand or something, arm balance, where there's going to be weight on the wrists. Thank you for watching. Please leave any questions or comments in the field below, and I look forward to joining you again soon.